guys, a little bit of a different video for me today. I do a little bit of crocheting, and this year I actually want to start learning to knit, but I don't do yarn and knitting and crochet stuff on my channel because it's something I don't do enough of to really be interesting. But my good friend has a niece who is a freshman in college, and she and her friends are learning to crochet this semester, something that they've just kind of picked up and are doing kind of for fun. So she did request a video from me on what kinds of yarn that I keep around and the yarn that I kind of like to use. So that's what we're going to do today. Stay tuned if this is something you're interested in. If not, then just go ahead and catch me on the next video. So if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I am in a little bit of a smaller space, and I have constraints that are specific, and one way that I keep that in check for me is by the use of totes. I have certain areas, and where the totes fit, that tells me what sort of a stash, so to speak, that I can keep. Now I do have 4 of these totes that I do keep for my yarn. Whatever fits in those totes is what I can have. If it doesn't fit, then it really isn't something that I keep around. So without further ado, let's get into some of this yarn. Now, the yarn we're going to talk about today is pretty much mostly just regular yarn that I use, that I keep around for my projects. And the type of projects that I do, I like to do scarves and fingerless gloves and hats and slouchy hats or beanies. I'm actually going to be crocheting an afghan, which I actually have not done before, so that will be interesting to me. But they're usually just smaller projects. I want to get into a little bit of bag making. I like to make little storage baskets and things like that. So I don't make clothing or big things, and so for that, basically, this is what I use. Now, the first category I'm going to talk about is what I would consider sort of my value category. Now, these are the little bit more economical choices. I am a tactile person, so what that means is if it doesn't feel good to me, I'm not going to be able to crochet with it. I know that, like, for instance, the Red Heart Super Savers are really popular. A lot of people like them, and you have a lot of people that don't like them. There doesn't really sort of be so much of an in-between. You either do or you don't. They are not as soft as some of the other things, or a little bit scratchy. I do also find them to be stiff to crochet, and then that kind of tires out my hands, and I don't like the feel of it running through my fingers. That being said, I do know that if you wash it, it does soften up a bit, but it never really gets as soft as some of these things that I like to use. My mother loves the Red Heart Super Savers, so I'm not really saying that they're not for everybody. This is just what I consider my value, and I base that on price, on availability, and on feel. So those are my 3 categories. So this right here is probably the largest skein that I usually have for that. Now, this is 100% acrylic. Most of my stuff is acrylic. It's economical. It's easy to use, especially if you're a beginner. They have lots of colors and options. They can do so much with acrylic. Natural fibers are a lot more expensive, and I do have allergies to like wool and certain things, so some of those I can't use unless it's a really low animal blend in there. So I've just kind of gotten to where I just use a lot of acrylic. So when you're looking at your skein, there's going to be a lot of information on the envelope. On this Big Twist, which is a Joann's brand, it's the value. We have 380 yards. It's a 6-ounce ball or skein. What I do like about some brands is that they kind of give you a rough idea of about how much you're going to need to make a project. Now, it does really matter what pattern you're using. This is kind of just a ballpark. So basically, one of these great Big Twist value skeins is going to make 1 scarf or 1 hat. 3 of them will make a sweater. 6 of them you will need to make an afghan. Again, this sort of depends on your pattern, but this is sort of just a general idea. Then you're going to have some information here. It's going to tell you a knitting needle of 5 millimeters. It's going to have a crochet hook of 5. This is a 4 medium, which refers to the thickness and bulkiness of the thread strands. And then you have your washing instructions. This, for example, you can wash, you can iron on low, although I don't iron my acrylics. They can stick to your iron, and they're not really made for heat, so to speak. So an acrylic is not something you're going to want to use for kitchen textiles. You're not going to want to make washcloths and pot holders and things like that really out of an acrylic yarn. It tells you no bleach. You don't want to put it, you want to lie flat. This line here means you want to lie it flat to dry, so you don't really want to put it in a dryer. That has something to do with dry cleaning, I think. But what else do you have on here? You'll have a lot number. You get all the colors in the same lot number, and you'll be assured that they will match. A lot of times the lot numbers will still match okay. If you get different ones, just hold them up and make sure that they're going to match. But I do try to get matching lot numbers when I can. And then here's my color. Now, this is made in Turkey. I don't know if you're interested in that, but some people it really matters to. It doesn't really matter much to me. And that's basically this big twist. So that's a pretty good size skein. This runs price-wise $3.99 is the regular price. I don't ever pay full price for yarn. I always get it when it's on sale with a discount or a special sale or with a 20% or something like that. So currently these big twists are $1.99 at Joann's, and that's the only place you're going to find them. It's a Joann's brand. That's a great price right now, $1.99. Typically about $2.99. If you do curbside pickup, you get an extra amount off. So you can get these for about $2.49 is about what I should expect to pay. But like I said, right now, $1.99, great price. In fact, these are $1.99 right now. If you do curbside pickup, I'm getting them for $1.59. So that's fantastic on here. Next is the Hobby Lobby brand. It's the I Love This Yarn, and not to make a pun, but I love this yarn. It's one of my absolute favorites in my basic category. This one is 252 yards. It is a print. Solids are always going to give you more yardage than a print within the same brand, just so you know. It is a 5 ounce. Here we have 100% acrylic. Again, we have our washing instructions. It is a 4 medium. I use a lot of 4 mediums. And this one says to use a 5.5 millimeter hook. Now, these are just recommendations on here. You kind of might find that a 4 is thicker or thinner than other 4s, and you might just want to adjust your hook size according to what you're using. And they always give you gauge information on here, where it tells you X amount of stitches per 4 inches should get, or X amount of stitches times whatever crochet hook should give you, you know, 4 inches. So look up a video on gauge. It'll explain it a lot better. But if you're doing clothing or really specific patterns, gauge is important. If I'm doing scarves or something basic, I really don't pay attention to that too much. But this is the I Love This Yarn. Super soft, really squishy. It's one of my favorites. I love just going in and picking this type of yarn. It feels really good against the skin as well. Now this does run $4.99 regular price, and about every other week they go 30% off. So about $3.49 is what you should expect to pay for that. Next is the Caron Simply Soft, and this is another printed, and the yardage on this is 235 yards. It's going to be more for a solid, mind you. 5 ounces. It is, again, another really soft yarn. I really like it. I usually get these for about, let's see, Walmart had it, I think, for $3.34, but they only had like 3 colors. I get this basically at Joann's or at Michael's, and I can't remember what the sale price on here, but it's basically under $3. This is a pretty good value. Right now, these are $2.99 at Joann's, so that's not bad. So those are my basics. Just my bottom basics. I would use these for afghans and hats and scarves and just like whatever. So these I also kind of keep in my basics, although they're a slight step up for me in my categories. These are by Yarn Bee. They are the soft and sleek, and they really are. I love these. I love the feel of them. I love how squishy they are. They're very easy to work. They glide really, really nicely across my crochet needle, which is really important to me. It helps with fatigue, and it also makes it a more pleasant experience. Now this is the soft and sleek low pill fiber. It does run $3.99, and then when you get it on the 30%, it's like what, $2.79 or something like that a skein. And where are our measurements here? Our info. 232 yards. It is 5 ounces. 4, again, I use a lot of 4s. You can wash it, lie flat to dry, no iron, no bleach. So pretty basic. I just love these. They come in a lot of colors. You can get them in solids and prints and, you know, just a lot of different stuff. Feels really good. It also comes in a chunky variety. Now, as far as the chunky goes, I would consider this sort of like a little bit of a thinner chunky. I think they say it's a 5 bulky on here. Really hard to see. Hobby Lobby makes them small, but I think it's like a 5 bulky, but it's not as bulky as I've seen. So I would say it's on the lower side of a 5 bulky. Again, this is really nice to work with. Makes great scarves and hats and comfy things. Really squishy. And because it's their chunky, it's a little bit more. So it's $4.99, which is going to make it $3.49 on sale. So I do like to work with these as well. Now, since we're sort of talking about anti-pill, we're going to go into this little pile of anti-pill. Now, this is a Walmart brand. It is Mainstay, and I don't really care much for the Mainstay's sort of big value yarn. It is kind of soft, but I do find it to be splitty, and I'm really not sure how well it's going to hold up. But this I really like. This is the anti-pill acrylic yarn. The anti-pill is something that's getting to be a little bit more popular right now in availability. It's a medium. What else do we need to say on there? 240.6 yards at 5 ounces. It actually feels really good. It's really soft, and I would absolutely have no problem using this. Once I wash it and see what the washability on it is, I'll have more information, but really, I really don't have a problem with this. And it's $2.48 at my Walmart regular price, or $2.46 or something like that. So really economical for what you're going to get. And they say it's a 4. Here's a look at that. It's kind of a little bit of a thicker 4, I would say. But excited to give that a try. Next we have in the anti-pill, we have the Big Twist 100% anti-pilling acrylic. This is called the Big Twist Living. It is 199 yards per skein, 3.85 ounces. Here's our information. It is a 4 as well. It tells you, again, I like it when they do this, about how many skeins you'll need roughly for this particular project. Now this feels fantastic. It feels better than the Mainstay. Really soft, really squishy, just really nice. And again, it says it's a 4, but it seems a bit like a little bit of a thicker 4 to me. So there you go, the Big Twist. And then this is Lion Brands. This also feels really great. I think that these two feel similar to each other as far as softness or whatever. I can't really feel a difference between these two. Now, Lion Brand Basic Stitch Anti-Pilling. Again, the Lion Brand gives you an idea of how many of these you're going to need about for a project. So 1 for a hat, 2 for a scarf, 7 for a sweater. Really nice. This is a 3.5 ounce, 185 yards. Machine washable. It says you can dry, that it's dryable as well. So I don't know how high of a heat I would do. I'd probably use like maybe a low heat. But there's your 4 medium. It gives you your hook size and your needle size if you're knitting. But feels really good on here. I like this a lot. So the Basic Stitch Anti-Pilling. So this is kind of your sort of slight step up from what I would consider my value yarns. Now here is another economy option for you, are these pounders, these really big skeins. And these come in a lot of different brands. This one is Lion Brands, Pound of Love. Caron makes the 1 pound. I think the Red Heart makes a big Super Saver type of one. I think it's bigger than the Jumbo. I'll see if I can find that for you. Trying to remember what the others are called, but basically everyone makes them. You can find one of these at Hobby Lobby from their type of brand, and they're just nice to have around. Now, these are typically not going to be as soft as the other yarns that you have. I do not, as I said before, care for the Red Heart ones. The Caron ones, it's sort of, they're inconsistent. When you go to look for a color, feel the color. If the color feels really soft, then it's fine and I will get the Caron. Sometimes the colors are, or the one I grab is not soft, so I do tend to pick through and try to find the softer ones. For the Pound of Love, I find these consistently softer than the Caron. In fact, of all the pounders, the Pound of Love is my favorite. It is consistently the softest. It's the nicest. I really enjoy working with it. But like I said, I will work with the Caron if I can find one that's soft enough. This is what I would call a good value yarn. These are the 1 pounds. This is a Caron 1 pound. This is a regular price. Get them on sale here. This is Joann's. And if you do car side pickup, there's an additional 25% off of that price. Interesting thing about the Carons, some of the colors are soft and some are not as soft. I think it might have something to do with maybe the dye they use, but some is pretty rough. I wouldn't actually say rough. I mean, it's all kind of soft, but it's not as soft. And some is pretty soft. Like this is really soft, and this is not. My favorite, however, are these Lion brand Pound of Loves. Same price. I really like these. I find that these are more consistently softer. So let's look at some specs here. Now these are huge. You're going to get a lot of value for these. You're looking at a 4 medium, 100%. This is premium acrylic, which is maybe why these are softer than the Caron ones are. I really like these. Now, if you're not crocheting tons, I don't do a lot of clothing and things. Mine are mostly smaller projects. This is something I would get in maybe like the whites, the grays, like basic colors that I use a lot so that I don't have to continue buying them, and then just intermix the other colors of the smaller sizes. But I would have these for like my staples. And on the Carons, 4 medium acrylic, 16 ounce, 812 yards. The yardage on this, I believe, is 1,020 yards, same 16 ounces. This is going to be a smidgen thinner. Let's see if I can get 2 together for you here. It's not by much though, really. So here we have that. But you can definitely see here. This is the Caron and this is the Pound of Love. They're both a 4 weight. Caron's going to be a little bit thicker, but not by much. It's probably where you get such a yardage difference, 814 versus 1,020. This is nice. So that is a good value right there, especially when you can get them on sale. I don't think I've ever gotten one of these regular price. I actually was able to stack sale on top of sale and got a number of these, my mother and I both. So we were able to get them $7.99 on their website. They matched that price in store. They were in store buy 2 get 1 free plus the extra 20%. So I ended up getting a number of these for $5.15 a piece. So if you kind of watch the internet and watch the sales and pay attention to that, you can really get these at a really good economical price. So that's a good value on that. And again, they're not going to be as soft as the other things. Like if you were doing some of these other value ones, they're going to be softer than that. Pound of Love, I've found consistently is the softest, and it's still something I would make a scarf out of or a hat out of. I would make a blanket or whatever out of that, but just know what you're looking at. This category is what I would call utility yarns, and these are my cottons, and this right here I believe is a nylon. Now these are the things I would make little scrubbies for your face, or you can make them for the kitchen, scrub your dishes or whatever. They're really kind of fun. It's 100% cotton, so it's going to be durable. Easy to use. This is actually doubled up on 2 strands, so it makes it nice and thick to use for a scrubby. And then I just sort of can hang it to dry. You can also use these to make washcloths for the kitchen or for the bathroom. And if you do these single layer, you can actually make these little flowers not doubled up and use them as face wash scrubbies. So you can have several of those face wash scrubbies. You can also make pot holders out of these and things like that. These are great for kitchen use because they can handle the high heat, where the acrylic, you don't want to have it near, things that are hot. So I have several different kinds here. This is your sugar and cream. You can also get this in peaches and cream at Walmart. And this is your 100% cotton. It is another 4, medium 4. What is the yardage on here? I always find it hard on here to find on these little guys. 120 yards, 2.5 ounces. They come in a lot of nice colors. I do find that the sugar and cream, the peaches and cream, do fade over time a little bit. This one is new to me. I found this at Michael's. It is the Premier Home. It is also cotton. 96 yards, 1.94 ounces. These two were both $1.99 each, so you're going to get more for your money here, but I did want to try this. And this one also is a little bit thinner. So my favorite by far is the I Love This Cotton by Hobby Lobby. It is soft. You're not going to find cottons to be incredibly soft. They are rougher. I do, like I said, classify them as more of a utility yarn. You could certainly make things out of it. I know people make, it's breathable, it's really washable, so I know people like to make like summer garments out of it, and you can absolutely do that. For me, it's just more utilitarian because I don't make clothing. But this is so soft. If I had touched this and not known what it was made out of, I would not have guessed it was cotton. It feels absolutely wonderful. This is $3.79 at Hobby Lobby. You get it for 30% off. Becomes really economical. Here's your specs. Just really, really good. In fact, here's a top made out of it. Super cute. But I love working with this. I love using it and having it around. Now, I did see at Walmart that they make a mainstay version that looks like this, the same type of skein, and it felt really good too. I would, without having used it yet, I would match it kind of to this. I would say it's like this, but I'd have to use it to see how it wears and if it's splitty. But just on appearances and feel, I'm going to say it's comparable to this here, this I Love This Cotton. So, but anyway, this is really great stuff to have around. Now, this is something specific. Hobby Lobby has this for $4.29. Again, 30% off is what you want to wait for to get this. It's called the Scrubology Scrub It. This one is an aqua, 3 ounces, 79 yards. It's nylon. I believe it is 100% nylon. What's nice about this is it feels like it's a little hollow in the center, but I think it might have a little bit of like nylon in there. But it's a little bit more plasticky feeling. This is going to make a better scrubby. I can't wait to make some scrubby flowers like that and use this in the kitchen because I think this is going to dry a lot better. Sometimes these take a while to dry and then you get kind of a musty smell and just toss them in the wash, but I don't like that as much. I want it to dry really quickly. I feel like that's better. And this dries really quickly. Now it is also a scrubby, but it's not so rough that it is uncomfortable. So scrub your plates, your pots and pans, whatever, really well. It's not going to be scratchy like a Brillo pad, so that's not what you're going to be using this for. But for just dishes and pots and pans, this is going to be fabulous. I can't wait to use that. Now, that ends my basics. Those will be the yarns that I like to keep around on a regular basis and ones that I use frequently. There is another category, though, I will slip in there, and I'm going to call this the specialties. These are yarns I don't keep around all the time. I just kind of have them to use for a specific purpose and something I saw and I go, oh, I want to do this project with it, but they're not something I would like stock up on or have a bunch of. This is an example. This is a Premier Bloom Chunky Big. It is a self-striping floral print. Have not used this yet, but I'm really excited to. So when you use it, it doesn't just self-stripe, but it's supposed to do a self-floral sort of print in there. I'm really interested to see how that works. Now, these are generally going to be more expensive. Regular price on these at Walmart is $5, so you'd have to buy quite a bit of it, though. It's 218 yards. 7-ounce ball. It is 100% acrylic, and I just think this would make a really interesting something to kind of try out. But it's not something, like I said, I would like stock up and have a bunch of. So I'm going to call this a little bit of a specialty yarn, something I buy specific for a project now and again. I also have something else I love to use. I'm going to pull it out of my project bag here. I really love on occasion to use these Yarn Bee Yarntopias. Now this is again $4.99. You get it on sale 30% off is $3.49. This is in the color Scarlet. It is a light 2, I think, on there. 100% acrylic. You can wash it. How many yards on here? Is that 312? 312 yards, 4 ounces. This feels like, it's like a cloud. I mean, it is just the softest thing I have ever felt. I have them in several colors, and I like to use these for just something special. I'll give you an example here out of my project bag. That's not it. Let me find it. This is a scarf. It's almost finished, that I made using that yarn. The stitch definition is just beautiful. This is so easy to work with. I didn't even want to stop. I mean, I wouldn't think you'd get a lot of fatigue on this because it's just so wonderful to use. It feels silky. The drape is amazing. It's a little bit heavier. And let's see what it's made out of here. Oh yeah, we already looked at that. It is acrylic, but you wouldn't think so. I mean, acrylic is so amazing because it can just be so many different, different types of textures. And this is wonderful. So I really like this for special things. I want to make a slouchy hat out of this, but it isn't something that I would use for every project. So I'm going to include this in my specialties yarn category. Here's the last thing I'm going to sort of show in my sort of specialties. It's probably the last sort of thing I buy is when you get these cakes. Now this is kind of flat because I've got one wrapped around, but they come in a round cake and they usually have several color gradients in it and they're beautiful. This is a mandala one. And what happens is when you're stitching with it, the color changes, which is kind of cool. And sometimes I like to get those because they're just fun. So you can do a lot with them. You can do shawls and ponchos and all kinds of things with that color gradient type of one. They call them cakes. Karen cakes are real popular. These mandala cakes are really popular. Hobby Lobby sells them at Sugar Wheels, and they're a lot of fun. So I also consider that in my specialty category. It's something I just buy once in a while for a project, but it's not something I keep on a regular basis generally in my totes, my stash, so to speak. Last but not least, we sort of come to the category of tools. Now, again, if you're familiar with my channel, you know I usually have a whip basket for my different things. I have a whip tote for cross stitching, I have a whip tote for quilting, and of course I have a whip basket here for my crocheting. And this fits right underneath my stitchy chair in my little stitching corner, so it's perfect. And I love to have project bags. Keeps things separate and everything together, and it keeps the cats out of my stuff. So generally in a project bag, let me see, find one to show you here that's already open. I will have everything I need for the project. I have my project, I have my yarn, which I often have picked up, and I usually like to have one of these little containers. This is by Creative Options. And inside of it, whatever I need for that project. Stitch markers, some scissors, a yarn needle for my tails. And I just keep these things in here. Also the crochet hook. So everything's generally in there. I often actually even have a pair of glasses in there. Not a prescription pair because I keep my prescription pair separate, but I'll just get some cheap $5 ones from Walmart and keep them in my bags. So I have them handy. And right now I'm using it for something else, but I generally will also keep a pair of my glasses hanging on my totes. This isn't something I saw anywhere. It's just sort of something I came up with because it keeps my glasses handy, and I love the system. It works really well for me. Now, the other tool we're going to talk about a little bit are crochet hooks. Now, you can get these all over the place. Walmart sells the kind that are all steel. You can get them in plastic. You can get them in wood. You can get them with these ergonomic handles that are on them. If you're using the metal ones, they're very inexpensive. If you like them, use what works for you. You got a set off of Amazon and they were $10 for an entire set and they work well for you and you are enjoying your crocheting, use what works for you. I just pretty much found out for myself that, really buying the best tools that you can afford, you don't want to break the bank, has really made my crocheting so much more enjoyable for me. I know that there are really expensive brands and really expensive hooks, and if that's your jam, then go for it. But just make sure, I guess my point is that if you're not enjoying it or something doesn't feel right or you're struggling, check your tools and see if maybe a different tool will help you enjoy the craft a lot more, or maybe it's the type of yarn you're using. But before you just give up, just see if there's some other reason why you're not enjoying it quite as much. This is a category I don't really consider myself a part of, but I don't want to leave it out since we're sort of covering everything. These are specialty yarns. These came from my local yarn shop. They are hand dyed, hand spun. This is wool. It's really pretty. I got it on clearance. I got these for $4 a skein. Regular price, they're $12. They were a Black Friday special out of the clearance bin already. It is a chunky 104 yards, and these cannot be used like this. They have to be rolled into a ball or into a cake, but they're the only two of these fancy sort of hand-dyed, handmade yarns that I have. They're quite expensive, and they're beautiful though. They feel great. The colors are great. I love them, and I didn't want to exclude those from the video. Okay, so if you've made it this far and I haven't bored you, then I pretty much have done my job. So this is by far just a fraction of the yarns that are available out on the market. This video request was just for what I tend to keep on hand and what I consider sort of economical, basic yarns to start out with. You may have your own sort of choices that you have or what you consider economical or value. This is just sort of my take on the whole deal. Now at the end of this video, I do go to a few of my local yarn supply places just to sort of give you a look what's out there. I'm lucky enough to be within about 10 miles of Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, and Walmart, plus the local yarn shop, which I probably won't go into today. But it sort of just will give you a look at what's available out there. And until next time, talk to you later.